Should be coming very soon. If you can see anything in chat, say hello. All right. It always takes a bit to get going, but it looks like people are here. So hello, nice to see everyone. Give one more try over here. All right, I think we can have people in chat and we're working. All right, I think we are. Hello again, I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com and the English Fluency Guide. Make sure we're working here. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Today I want to talk about, as I usually do, how to speak more fluently, especially talking about advanced ideas or expressing things in more detail. But I want to show you how to do this with simple vocabulary. The main point of this video is that you do not need to know a lot of difficult words in order to express yourself in a more advanced way. Really, being advanced just means you're able to communicate correctly and also talk about things that are more detailed or more specific or more interesting, whatever it is you want to explain. But you don't need to use advanced, a lot of difficult vocabulary to do that. All right, Ita, nice to see you there. Good morning, Ohio, and Annette over there in Wisconsin. I think I saw Olympia over there as well. Nice to see everybody there. We're starting a little bit earlier today. Hopefully everyone is doing well out there. Today we're actually talking about lots of vocabulary, so hopefully you're excited for that. I know people are always interested in learning more vocabulary, but really what we want to do is help you understand the value of the vocabulary you already have. That way you can communicate more fluently using the words you already know and even expressing more intricate or detailed ideas. Nice to see you there, George. So what we're going to do is go through a bunch of very useful words, and I'll give you lots of examples for each one of those, and I'm sure the chat will provide us with even more. So just to give you a very quick example of what we're going to do in Thailand. Oh, look at that in Thailand. So I'm like thinking and reading the comments at the same time. I can't see your name though. If your name is not in, well, Japanese or English, I probably can't read it. So if it's in Thai or Cyrillic or something, please, if you'd like me to know your name. Victor, nice to see you there. This is my 4th live lesson from Brooklyn. Nice to see you there, Victor. Hopefully you are enjoying the shows. All right. So as an example, let's say we take a word like improve. Now, this is a very common word, but if you think about how natives learn the language, especially as little kids learn the language, improve is a more advanced word for their level. It's a very useful word. It is very commonly used, but it could be more advanced in the way we're going to describe it in this video, because there are typically ways to express things with less or smaller or maybe 1 or 2 simple words. In this video, I'm not really going to go into detail about phrasal verbs. I talk about that a lot, so I want to talk about other ways of expressing things. But these work basically like phrasal verbs. So we want to take a few specific or, simple words, combine them in different ways, and then that way you can multiply your vocabulary. And that just means you're able to talk about more things using the same vocabulary. Isn't that cool? All right, so a child, typically a parent, like for a little child, we would not use the word improve. We would say simply, get better. So this is a simpler way, typically a way a child would learn the way of expressing this, to improve, to get better. And that way a child can understand what's happening even if they don't know this more difficult vocabulary. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So we're going to cover a bunch of these very simple words like get, and a lot of this vocabulary is probably words that you already know, but hopefully this will provide you with more insight. It will help you understand the vocabulary better. You will feel more confident about using it, so you will speak more fluently. All right, pretty simple. Let me check chat before we get started. Our first word will be get. All right, so we're going to talk about getting things, and we'll get started in just a moment. All right, let me look at chat here, make sure everybody is doing all right. All right, let's see, Lauren, good evening. Evangelina, good. Let's see, hello from San Diego. All right, we got people in the States, so I'm a little bit earlier today. Fati, hello from Morocco. Thank you. Kitty, love. Samar, free Palestine, I see. I think you spelled Palestine incorrectly. Shah, I'm from Saudi Arabia. We're still at night. Nice to see you there. Stab says, what's up, bro? Teach me English. Well, here we go. Sita, again, look at that. The manager at the very beginning. Nice to see you there. Call all your friends. Let's get started. Sam Crux says, hi there. First time to watch you live. Glad to hear. Varushka, hello, guys from India. Algeria, look at that. And Wellington in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And Zinapur 1, hi from Korea. All right, let's get started. So we're going to talk about a whole bunch of very simple words, and I want to really help you understand what these words mean. And before we begin, I want to make something very clear. Many people are probably already familiar with me and what I do, but the basic idea is that when you're learning a language, rather than take a word like get, what we'll call the English as a second language approach, you take a word like get and maybe you get a translation, so you get a translation of it, or maybe you get a definition, so you get a definition of the word. But the problem is that typically when people learn a word like this, they don't really learn all of the various uses and they don't get a lot of good examples that help them understand the word. And so they will learn a word like get, again, through a translation or a definition, and then just repeat the word. And maybe they will get a few, they will get, you notice I'm using this word get a lot because it is very, very commonly used. And I also want to highlight the word in this video. But we talk about getting something. So rather than the ESL way, which is kind of getting repetition, so you're going to repeat something again and again, I want to do the English as a first language approach, which is where we really help you understand many different ways of talking about get, just like we do for any vocabulary. And this will help you understand it better, feel more confident about it. So we want to eliminate the doubt, and that's what stops you from speaking. So if you eliminate the doubt, then we feel much more confident and we speak. So we take a word like get, we begin with the same word, but we try to learn it in a different way. We really want to understand lots of different ways of using get with lots of different examples. Now, you might not get all of these examples at the same time, but typically you will get, as you learn, different examples, different ways of using it in different situations, and that's how you will get fluent. All right? All right, now I'm going to explicitly give you some different, some examples of it right now, but this is the general idea. So we don't want to just get a word, we don't want to learn a word and then repeat it again and again. We want to hear lots of varied examples, and that's what's going to help you improve. All right, now, if you can think of some ways of expressing more difficult things using the word get and other simple words, you can post them in the chat right now. But let's get started with our examples. So as I said, we will get started with get. Now I have lots of examples. Hopefully I won't take too long with each one of them, but I really want to make sure you understand what's happening here. All right, so the basic idea of get, we are receiving something or something is moving from one place to another. So this is me, for example, and I'm getting something. I could be like receiving a present, or I could be like transferring or moving from one place to another. So for example, I could go from home to work, so I'm getting to work, to get to work. Or I could be moving from one situation to another, like I'm getting older, all right? So when we hear the word get, try to imagine like a broader understanding of the word of like moving from one place to another, or transfer the title of the, or here I am again trying to read the transcript while I'm, or reading the comments as I'm explaining this. But typically get is, we're talking about like taking a new position or moving from one place to another. But in general, it's a transfer of some sort. Okay, something is moving or changing from one thing to another. All right, so let's look at a bunch of examples. I'm sure you will think of some in the chat. Please post them below if you do. All right, so we already had get better. So we're talking about, first we want to like improve in some way. So we can talk about getting better. We can also talk about getting well. So if you are sick, imagine being in this, like in this position here. You are not feeling well. Oh no, I'm sick. Here's a little ice bag on my head over here. Oh no, here's like a thermometer in my mouth. That kind of looks like a cigarette, I guess. It's like a thermometer. So I'm in the sick condition over here, and I want to get well. I want to get better. All right. So rather than saying like I want to like overcome this sickness or I want to improve something, this is just a very simple way of talking about going from one place to another. All right, or one condition or state to another. So I'm bad here. I'm good over here, and I want to get here. All right, pretty simple. So I want to go through these examples. Another one, let's see. In order to prepare for something, or to make sure we are ready, we get ready. Again, it's that same idea of being in one state or one position and going to another one. So here we are not ready. And over here we get ready, all right? So anytime we're trying to prepare for something, we're going to move from one situation to another. Get, all right? Is everybody getting this? So here I'm trying to give you something, all right? So I'm teaching you something, I'm explaining something. It's coming from me to you, all right? So you are getting it. So another way of just talking about like to get something is simply to understand that thing. All right, so do you get it? Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get it? All right, another idea here, we have also get going. So get going is a basic, simple way of saying to begin. So we can also hear, as I mentioned before, to get started. So you can make lots of more complicated ways of saying these things, like get started, you could say commence. Let me commence the beginning of something. I want to commence my speech or commence a job interview or something. But a very casual conversational way of saying this, and this is perfectly fine, is just to get started or to get going. So I wake up in the morning and it's time to get going, time to get started. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm trying to think of some other ones that we could think similar if we want to talk about as opposed to saying arrive. All right, to arrive, we can talk about to get there. To get there. Often you'll see in movies or little kids are asking, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. So maybe we're in the process of moving, like we are moving something, or we are in motion right now. We are getting there. All right. If we already arrived, you can just say we got there. We got there. Yes, Carlos, we'll talk about keep in a moment. We'll talk about keep in a moment. All right. So again, get, when we think of it, I'm trying to give different examples here so you start to think more about the word like a native speaker. All right. So to get going, to get ready, to get well, to get better, we're moving from one state or position or place to something else. That's what we mean. All right. So like this marker is just sitting over here, or this eraser is on the board. Now I get the eraser. So I have got it. I got the eraser. All right. So it's moving from over here to me controlling that thing. All right. Transferring. All right, let me think of some more. Another example. Let me erase some of these. Instead of saying something more complicated like advance, you can say get ahead. Again, simple vocabulary that expresses more complex ideas. All right, you don't need to use difficult words to express difficult things. All right. So get ready, get ahead, get started, get anywhere, like anytime you're moving from one place to another. These are all different examples of that. It's that same idea. All right. Now, we could also think, like, let's say we want to get smart about something. I use this with my kids. I think, okay, you guys need to get smart about this. We need to get smart about this. So we need to think in a creative or intelligent way. So do something intelligently. That's a more complicated way to express it. Or we're going to say, get smart. We need to get smart about this. So maybe a company is planning something. They're thinking about a project, but they're not doing very well. It's not being very successful. So they think we need to change our thinking. We need to get smart about this. All right. So we need to behave or think more intelligently. But it's much faster and easier to say, get smart. All right, everybody getting this? Everybody getting the idea? Pretty simple. All right, let me go back through chat and make sure people are following me with this. I think people are, though. All right, let's see. So I get to work by bus. Yep, same idea. So you are at home and then you are at work. And how do you get there? So how do you transfer? How do you move? Same idea. Yes, very good example. All right, good morning, says Mushtaq and Stab. Mike, you're welcome. All right, let's see. Adriana says, I'm able to understand everything in this video session, but I'm unable to speak. What I need to do? I need your help, says Adriano. Basically, the reason most people know English, but they can't speak, is that they don't really know the language as well as they think they do. In other words, they still have some kind of doubt that's stopping them from speaking. That's the real issue. So when people, especially if you've been learning English for a long time, maybe you live in an English-speaking country, many people I help, they're actually married to native English speakers, and yet they still struggle. And the reason, most likely, the number one reason is just that they have doubt about the vocabulary. So they're uncertain about certain things, or they worry about pronunciation, or in their mind they're asking questions, am I saying this right? Is my pronunciation okay? There are lots of really worries and doubts that people have. And so that creates fear, and you feel nervous about expressing yourself, so you don't speak, all right? So you might understand a lot of English, but when you come to speak, when it's your turn, then maybe you're still worried about something, and that's what stops you. So the point of the videos I make like this one, you see we're focusing on just one word right now to really help you get what it means, all right, to really help you understand what it means. So as you feel more confident, as you eliminate the doubt, that's when you start speaking, all right? So if you know a lot of English but still struggle to speak, it means you just don't know it that well. You should watch a video. I forget the name of the video I made, but the basic idea is that there are different levels of understanding, okay? So you might like recognize something or hear it when natives are talking, but there's still some kind of doubt that's stopping you from using that vocabulary fluently. You don't really own the vocabulary yet. So your job is really to get to the ownership level of the vocabulary, and that's when you start speaking fluently, okay? So that's pretty much, I repeat this in every video because we always get new people coming, and people think their problem is they don't speak enough, or they don't have like a practice partner, or they don't study enough, or whatever. The real reason, it's not how many times you repeat this. So you could study this word get, but until you get lots of examples, and you notice I'm using the word get again and again in slightly different ways. As you get more examples, that's where you really start feeling more confident about the vocabulary. So as you learn more, you will feel better about speaking. That's how you get fluent. So please, please, please don't just learn more vocabulary. Notice this isn't new. This is not new information, okay? What I'm trying to do is help you just feel more confident about the vocabulary you already know. That way you can use this vocabulary in more interesting ways, all right? So I'd rather have like one tool that I could talk about 20 different things rather than like one word that doesn't really help me express much, okay? So I could learn the word commence, or I could learn the word get. Now both of those words are valuable, but the word get is much more valuable because it's way more frequently used, okay? So hopefully this makes sense. I'm going to try to be quick over here so I can keep going through comments and make sure I go through examples. All right, hello everyone. Sandra again, getting used to something. Yes, that's another example to get used to. I didn't want to cover like phrasal verbs in that specific example because I thought, people know that one already. Let me just cover some other things like this that you might not be so familiar with. But yes, you're correct. To get used to, it's the same idea. You're in one place, so you have one condition, like you're not good at something, but then you get used to it, or you become more familiar. That's the idea. Very good. All right, hello, Drew Yelba. Drew from Nicaragua. I like your videos. I've learned a lot from them. Glad to hear it. If you know other people we can help, send them my way. All right, Mike Stab. Okay, there we go. All right. Look at you. You guys getting a little feisty in the comments over there. Olympia, I got. Is get going also to continue. Get going usually means to start something. So imagine you begin, like you start a project. This is the start of it. Or you could be in the middle of a project, but it's not going very well, or you don't really know what you're doing, so you're trying to get people excited and motivated again. So either you start something where you get going, or you're over here and you get going. It just means like you're transferring from not doing something to doing something. So not moving to moving. You're getting that thing. So now we were here, now we are here, or we are moving in that way. Okay, so it doesn't really matter where you are at that time. It's just think about the idea of we were doing this, now we're doing this. That's the idea of get. All right, so there's some kind of change or transfer happening. All right, it looks like we got quite a few. Let's see. Reno says, when is it wrong to use get? Well, that's a more difficult lesson to cover. Give me an example. If you have an example where you think you might use get, but you don't feel confident about it, let me know. All right, this week I went to the barbershop to get my hair cut. Yes, that's correct. So you can go from one place to another, and you can change your hair from one situation to another. So you get a haircut. All right. Juan Carlos, hopefully you can learn something. Hopefully you do. Greetings from the Philippines, is Darwin. How do you use the word sake? You mean sake? What do you mean? Like for the sake of something? I'm not covering that in this video, but I would Google that and try applying the same thing I'm doing here. Joseph says, get yourself a decent haircut, mate. You're going to the races. Is this correct? Yes, you could say that, depending on who you're, like I wouldn't say that to your boss or something. It could be a little bit offensive to some people. Do I need to speak English every day in order to get 100% fluent or not? I'm a foreign learner. No, you do not. Again, as I explained earlier, you become fluent as you understand the language better. I don't spend all day trying to speak Japanese, but I do spend a lot of time actually learning more Japanese, hearing different examples, listening to people. And what I'm really doing, it's not just getting input, it's getting specific, it's answering specific questions that remove doubt. So if I am unsure, if I want to say something but I feel nervous about saying that, then I should go into that thing and use it or learn it so I really understand that thing. All right? So that's really how you become fluent. You remove the doubt you have about individual words and phrases. So remember, we get fluent in individual words and phrases. You don't get fluent in the whole language. You get fluent in pieces of it as you learn those things. So, for example, you might feel confident about the word get, but you don't feel confident about, like sake or whatever that word was. Okay? So if you don't feel confident, if you have questions about it, then get those questions answered. Okay? That's how you get fluent. So you move from not being fluent to getting. All right. Let's see. Did I skip all those? Let's see. We're at 24 minutes, and we got quite a few more minutes left to go. All right. Get around, transfer, or move. Yes, it's still the same idea. For God's sake, you don't know how to use sake. That would be for God's sake. Nicholas, for God's sake, for God's sake. Morning, just in time to listen to you. Get ready to speak or get yourself a ball to speak. Get yourself a ball to speak. Please help me use the word sake. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder why people are asking about sake. Just Google that and get some different examples of it. Again, rather than just getting a definition of it, you want to learn lots of different examples, hear different people using it. So when you feel confident that you understand it, that's when you will say it fluently. All right, Fati says, I had years of study, but still have some struggles. I can't get better in it. I feel like I'm staying in the same place. Can you please tell me why? Okay, everyone is asking basically the same question. All right, let me make this very clear. If you don't feel confident about something, now don't think about the language, think about specific parts of the language, like a specific word or a specific phrase or a grammar point, all right? If you don't feel confident talking about that, if you feel like you want to express something, but I don't remember the word, or I don't, the pronunciation I'm nervous about, something like that. Those are all questions or worries or doubts that stop you from speaking. So you need to stop. Don't try to learn something new. Focus on that vocabulary. That's what we're doing right here, all right? So I'm not trying to teach you a bunch of advanced words. I'm trying to help you use get in a more advanced way. All right. And native speakers, this is how they get fluent. All right. All right. And hopefully people are figuring that out. All right. Hello from Rio. Let's see. All right. I answered that one. Reno says that Japanese is completely different from English. Well, yes, but children all over the world learn different languages, and they learn them at basically the same rate. So there's nothing intrinsically difficult about English. There's nothing like, it's not like English specifically is difficult and Chinese is easy, or Chinese is difficult and English is easy. It's just, look at all the children all over the world. How do they all learn these different languages at the same rate? All right. If the language itself was actually difficult, you wouldn't be able to do that. But you see little kids, 2 years old, 3 years old, and they're just speaking. Obviously, some kids are maybe better than others in a particular place, but that's what we're talking about. Okay, so we want to really understand the language, and there's nothing different, like specifically about English or Japanese, that makes it a hard language. It's just how people learn. So the real problem people have is, let's say a Japanese speaker, so a native Japanese person is trying to learn English. The difficulty comes from them trying to learn Japanese through Japanese, or they're trying to learn English through Japanese. That's what creates the problems. So the difficulty comes when you try to learn one language through another language. So this is learning English as a second language, or whatever the language is you're talking about. Okay, so that's the basic idea. All right, but yeah, there's nothing different, about like the language in and of itself. How to eliminate recurring mistakes, like I learned words the wrong way and now it's hard to erase that, says Kayla. Yeah, it's a good question. So that's what we're doing here. As an example, I'm learning Japanese characters right now, and some of them are easy to remember, some of them are not. So some of them I still get confused, and it just means I don't know them well enough. So I need to spend some more time or try to get smart about learning that, like the character, whatever it is I'm learning. And so vocabulary works the same way, where you're trying to understand something not by like repeating it. You're trying to get different examples, and that's what's going to help you understand the vocabulary better. So however whatever the word is, you should be trying to get more examples. So think about a specific word. I can help you do that in this video if you have a specific word or phrase or something, like whatever that example is. Let me know, but I can give you a better example of that. This is actually what we're doing right now with this, though. All right, let's see. All right, it's correct to pronounce the R using your throat, like roaming. It's the vibration of it. If you're talking about the pronunciation of that, yes, the sound. You can put your hand over here and feel it. All right. If you'd like to learn more about pronunciation, this is what we do in Frederick, and comparing the different sounds will help you understand what we use, like what pronunciation comes from what sounds. all right? Or what pronunciation comes from what letters, excuse me. And one tricky thing about English is that, yes, we do have like letters that have different pronunciation, but Japanese works in the same way. If you're talking specifically about Japanese, where you have like a Japanese character, it could have different readings depending on what it is, okay? I was actually just at my my daughter's school, and they were talking about this specific thing. What example did they give? I think they gave, let's see. So they were saying, what is this character and how do you read it? And asking the kids. And the kids are like, oh, it's like, it could be like asa or it could be cho, depending on what we're talking about, all right? So this works in the same way English does, where we have something. So this means, like for you non-learners out there, this is basically morning in Japanese. I don't know what this, maybe it's similar or something in Chinese, I don't know. But the Japanese meaning is morning. And so when we're learning something, we want to get more examples to really understand what it means, because like a child will learn this and then they'll learn, oh, like asa, like good morning or whatever, asa gohan, like having breakfast, but then they learn choshoku, which is like it's the same thing, but we're using different characters for that. So when you're learning something and you get more examples, that's what really it creates a much deeper, more interesting, more connected web, a network in your head that helps you understand the vocabulary. Okay? So each language has its own unique, things or whatever, but if you learn the language in the language, that's going to help you understand it much better. Okay, so don't learn it through your language, you need to learn it in the language you're learning. So if I'm learning Japanese, I should learn it in Japanese. All right? Japanese is very difficult because you use the left side of your brain. I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, there's nothing intrinsic about Japanese, it's just how you learn it. All right, let's see, get to know something. Yes, that's another good example. Yes, you're right, it's the worries that stop us from getting fluent. Speaking language. I am studying Korean, but I am not getting anywhere because of these worries. Yes. And so again, when you're listening to people, you don't have anything to worry about unless you have to respond to those people. So if I'm listening to a speech or watching a movie or something, it's very easy. Maybe I don't understand everything, but I can generally understand something. All right. But when I have to speak, then you have to be correct if you want to express yourself and have people understand you. All right. So that's the difference when we're talking about different levels of understanding. So you can know something, but how well do you know it? Do you know it well enough to feel confident saying it? That's the real test. Okay. Let's see. Because back, teacher, I want to know your thoughts on the fact why people lose their ability to speak or speak clearly after not using it by speaking. For example, being in a cell or inhabitant island. Although, let's see. Well, it's like any kind of skill where if you don't use it, you will lose it over time. But it's like riding a bike, where maybe I don't ride a bike for a long time, and then the next time I ride a bike, I'm maybe a little bit unsure, but very quickly I remember how to ride it again. So it's possible to forget the language, but people typically are thinking in a language in their head. All right, so they don't really lose the language, but it's just it's a skill like anything else, where if you practice it, if you exercise that, you will feel more confident about using it. All right, but yes, you can kind of lose it over time if you don't use it at all. Let's see. All right, I think I answered that other question. I woke up 1 hour early today in order to get ready to listen to your live video. Glad to hear it. Remember, you can watch these anytime. So I save all these videos. You don't need to watch them live. The live part is just me being able to answer questions for people. All right, Reno again says the Japanese alphabet is different, like chi, cha, tsu, ka, etc., not A, B, C, D. Yes, but it's, again, I don't want to spend too much time talking about the differences between English and Japanese. The important thing is just that you should learn English in English. if you're going to learn it. So if you are Japanese and you're trying to learn English and you're learning English through Japanese, which is what most people do in school. So I remember when I was teaching Japanese students in elementary school or even adults, most people are learning Japanese. They're learning they're learning English through Japanese. Okay, so they like a Japanese elementary school student, a native Japanese child trying to learn English. Most of the classes in Japanese. Even most of the English learning TV shows are in Japanese. It's mostly Japanese. So they will give you a Japanese word, explain it in English, give you a translation. And this is all over the world. I'm just using the Japanese example, but this is everywhere. Most people are learning the language through their native language because they're not getting good lessons that actually help them understand the language. And that's why they struggle to speak. So if you learn English through your native language, then you're going to think and translate in your head when you speak, and that will stop you from speaking. That will give you more worries, more concerns, more questions, more doubts, and that's why you struggle to speak. But if you can understand English in English, then you start speaking English without thinking or translating the same way native does. Okay. All right. So that will solve all of the questions really. Let's see. Magic Bob says, hello, Drew. Could you help me understand what flush means in the sense she hung beating her wings, wanted to flush the vole or mouse? Why flush means plain, flat? She hung beating her wings. Now, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but it sounds like a bird or something like that. I want to answer this question specifically because this isn't really something you can search on Google because Google wouldn't really know what to do with that. But if I imagine something like, if I think, I don't know for sure, but I would guess it's like a bird. We have like the wings or something like that. And a vole, V-O-L-E, a vole is like a small mouse or something. So if we imagine, I don't know, a bird here and there's like a tunnel, and the mouse is in here, or the vole, or whatever that thing is. If you think about flushing a toilet, you're clearing an area with water. But you can also blow air or something and flush something out. So to flush a toilet, this meaning of the word flush, it just means to kind of clear an area. So typically this is a pipe, and you clear the area with water. All right. So we flush, or we use the phrasal verb to flush out something. All right. So if someone is hiding, like if I'm a soldier and I'm looking for some people or something like that, I can flush them out. I can get more people coming out by maybe firing my weapon or something like that. Okay. So that's what I'm guessing that is without getting more information about it. All right, lots of good questions over here. All right, let's see. All right, hopefully that answers that, though. See, Drew, you just used an expression that I got just some months ago. In and of itself, it took me a while to understand this chunk. Yes, it just means by itself, like that thing by itself without any other, like anything else, any other support or some kind of information or anything else. So like you could say like something like art beautiful in and of itself without like somebody looking at it or something like that. So by itself, in and of itself, that's the same way of using that. All right, here we go. Japanese is very difficult. Yeah, okay, I answered that one. Emil says, yeah, I don't know what that is in Chinese, so that would be choshoku in Japanese. Can you explain what E vowel in the word get? Sometimes I hear two different vowel sounds like the E in let and the short I. Well, yes, in American English, the standard pronunciation of this is called a short vowel, a short E, the sound, and we go through these things in Frederick. But, and if you'd like to learn more about that, you can click on the link in the description below this video for Frederick. It will go through all of these different sound combinations and letter combinations so you understand what these things are. But you will have different accents where, like someone in the South in the United States, they might say git, where it sounds like G-I-T, like a short vowel I instead of a short vowel E. But that's the idea. So it should be get. something the way I'm pronouncing it clearly here. That's the regular American pronunciation you would find usually on the news. Now, yeah, like get her done, it's you would still say like get. So like lots of people in the United States would say like get it or get her or get something like that. Get her done, get her done. But you notice my pronunciation changes, my accent is a little bit different. Get her done, get her done. All right, sound like George Bush a little bit right there. Get her done, get her done. All right, now look at this. I'm answering all these all these questions over here, and I've gone through one word, get, and I have a whole bunch. All right, if you would like to get more examples, we are already 40 minutes into the video. I was worried that this might happen. Although I am happy to answer questions, that's why I'm here, and I enjoy doing these live videos. But if you would like to get more examples of this, just look in the description below this video. So I put a whole bunch of them there because I thought this might happen. So I'll go through some more, but this is interesting going through these different little questions over here. Let's see. All right, where did I go? See, look at that. All right, and Keiko again. Hello, Teacher Drew. I have a question again. Do I got it and I've got it mean the same thing? Yes, you can use both of those things. I'm sometimes confused about that. Yes, so I did a video a little while ago about that. The only difference in the nuance here is when you say I got it, you're talking about the action. Like I understood something at that point in the past, but I've got it now means it's like a part of you. All right, so they mean the same thing, but that's the slight difference when you talk about got versus have got. But you will hear both of those. All right, so like yesterday I got something at the store, like I got some milk. All right, but I have got means like I still have that thing, like it's part of me now. But if we're talking about like a personality thing, like I got I don't know, like something I did in the past, like I played baseball. So that's the same idea where like I can say I played baseball and can talk about a particular time or a time period in the past, or I can talk about I have played. And what I mean is that it's a part of me. That experience is a part of me now. Okay, so I did a whole video talking about that recently. I forget the name of it though, unfortunately. All right, Arena say, you look like one of those guys who works at immigration and speak like them. I work at immigration. Well, I guess, I mean, I know some maybe kind of military looking folks. I'm not in the military. I just have a short haircut. But yeah, maybe I suppose that's true. But I would imagine people who work in immigration would try to speak English clearly so people understand. All right, so that makes sense. All right, Becca says, I think it's not because we know vocabulary well or not well enough it affects our ability to speak, but rather we should also train it by baby steps, word after word. Yeah, but like when people think just adding more vocabulary helps, the only way that works is if that new vocabulary helps you understand the old vocabulary or the current vocabulary better. All right, so just learning more words is not really going to. My main point is like speaking is helpful, it's useful, it's great, but it's typically the goal that comes after you've had lots of examples with something. All right, so you can force yourself to speak before you feel comfortable. Maybe I learn a new word or a new grammar point, but I don't really feel confident about saying it. I can still try to speak, but that's not going to help me understand the vocabulary better. It might help me slightly improve my pronunciation, but I don't really become better at the language by repeating it. Okay? But I do get better as I understand something. And you probably have experienced this in your life at some point, maybe many times. When you're learning something, you don't really feel like you know it very well, and then you get a trigger, like what I call a fluency trigger, where you actually understand something better. Like you get a new example, or you hear it in a different context or something, and you think, now I got it. Okay, that aha moment, what I call the aha moment, when you understand something better, that's when you actually start speaking. All right, so you could like that, like you don't need to like what you're talking about, like baby steps of learning. It's just how quickly can you understand the vocabulary. Okay, that's the idea. Let's see. All right, Fatih says, teacher, please, can we have a video? See, like this is a perfect example. Like, can we have a video? But you wrote, can we have a videos? So this is a basic mistake in the language. It could be just a typo, I understand that. But it's little things like this that stop people from speaking. That's why they have all these doubts. All right. So most people, like, they know a lot of advanced vocabulary, but they make many basic mistakes because they're still not very confident about what they know. All right, videos about advanced grammar. I really can't get, it's very hard to understand. I read the rules but can't solve exams. Yes, so you need to not learn grammar by studying rules. You need to just understand how it works by seeing lots of examples of that thing. All right, so this is part of what we do in Fluent for Life. Let's see, he is unique, says Olympia. All right, what are your ideas and suggestions about IPA? Or app, wait, what does that say? Wait, suggestion about app, English? Do you mean AI? You're asking about like artificial intelligence, like ChatGPT? My basic thinking is still that it's not really good enough to learn without someone there to check it. So if I'm looking for examples of something as a learner, I would rather go to Google than go to ChatGPT, because ChatGPT, like even if I use ChatGPT, I typically use it if I'm trying to think of a lesson idea or something, but I'll have to correct ChatGPT a lot, I notice. So I would not trust it, and it even says that at the bottom of ChatGPT. It's just like ChatGPT could be wrong, you know. So it's potentially helpful for getting examples, but you will get more just by searching Google and seeing real examples that people have provided already. All right, Joseph says, hi, Professor, I need to get a job. All right, I want to work as customer service, but my English speaking isn't well enough to pass the interview. Well, then you need to spend more time. I would focus more on that, watch people doing interviews, and just focus on the parts of the language you would be using, especially. All right. Let's see. Sangog says, translating words from one language to another will not help because every language has its own way of organizing ideas. Yes. All right. I don't think in my native language and translate in English. I speak in English and think in English. I'm not a native English speaker. Yes. So you can do that. Again, like I think and speak in Japanese without being a native Japanese speaker. The only thing that nobody is born a native speaker. You become a native speaker. It's just really your level of using the language. All right. But yes, like you don't have to be like I don't have to look Japanese to think in Japanese. All right, Mustang says, I've been watching this video live only because to prove that you are been watching almost everywhere in the world. All right, thanks. Says Sita, it's great when we get a word or expression. The feeling is amazing. Yes, so when you get something, when you understand it, that feeling of like, yes, you solved the puzzle, that's when you actually become more fluent. You feel that actually happening at that moment. All right, when you understand something, that's the feeling of fluency improving. All right, so you don't get fluent. I can repeat a word 100 times, or I could get maybe 1 or 2 or 3 good examples that help me understand the word really well, and that's when I start using it. Okay, so the goal is not just to repeat it or for me to talk to a mirror or to try to repeat things to other people. It's only helpful, those things are only really helpful if you can understand and improve the way you're thinking about the vocabulary. Do you feel more confident about it or not? Or do you feel doubt about the word? All right. Oh my goodness. I'm going through all these. You guys are just too fast over here. All right. I'm going to see how quickly I can do these. Lewis says, I've been studying English for a long time, but still have a lot of difficulty writing, reading, listening, and speaking. What did he do? Wrote this text using Google Translator. All right. So I guess you're talking about yourself, I guess. But yeah, so typically you just don't know the language as well as you think you do. That's it, what I've been explaining. All right, it says, speaking of advanced English, you actually remind of a good video series you used to make called English Fluency Bits, like the phrase, be that as it may, thanks. Yeah, everybody remembers that phrase, be that as it may. Yeah, we talk about English Fluency Bits I have a whole lesson set about that in Fluent for Life. But maybe I'll make another video about it. But yes, these are kind of like little phrases you can add, and when you hear people using them, you feel like, oh, like I really got what that's saying. Yes, it means breakfast. Yes, I know what that means. Olympia says, time to drink some water. I speak Chinese. Hello, biggest English teacher. I am so happy to be here learning. Glad to hear it. Love this level of explanation, says Nicholas. Glad to hear it. What? Ohio. Let's see. All right. Well, welcome. Good morning. Salvador says, how's it going? Great to drop a line and stop by. And it says, could you please tell us what is the best way to teach English? Teach kids English. Thank you in advance. So 2 things. First one is Frederick. Click on the link in the description below this video. I know some adults think it's an app only for kids, but it's not. It's just a way of learning English all in English. So you want to start teaching kids the same way a native speaker would teach their kids. So me as a native speaker or a fluent speaker of English, I don't want to teach my kids English through Chinese, okay? Because they don't know what the Chinese is either, all right? They want to be able to understand everything in English, all right? I haven't given my like marker. Should I give my Japanese lesson marker lesson? I haven't done this in a while. All right, so let me give you, I'm going to teach you some very basic Japanese, all in Japanese, so you understand what I'm talking about, okay? Maka, maka, maka. Ao, aoi maka, aoi, ne? Aoi maka, akai maka, kuroi maka, kuroi maka, kuro, aka, ao, aoi maka, akai maka, kuroi maka. Oh, kuro ne? Kuroi saifu, kuroi maka. All right? That's very simple, very basic explanation, but I'm not using any translations. I'm not trying to explain anything. What I'm doing is comparing different things, which lets your brain understand these things automatically. Okay? That's a basic idea. So if you're trying to teach kids, as I mentioned, the first thing, get Frederick. It will show them how to do that. And also we have an example playlist on our channel about like basically going through all the beginning grammar, but it shows you how to learn it in English rather than using your native language. All right, Sijar, how to pronounce whole? I hear Americans saying like a G, like a G before it. That's interesting. Get Frederick. It gives you all these pronunciations of words that you're asking for. Just go to the link in the description below the video. All right, Keiko says, thank you. I got it. Do I say this right? Yes. You could say, do I say this right? Or did I say this right? Did I say this right? I'll have a look. Or you just have a look at your video, or you'll watch the video. So to have a look at something. All right, greetings from Azerbaijan. Wellington, listening is important. In the beginning, I didn't understand you. Now I can understand almost all, around 90%. Yes, so you'll notice you become used to, you get used to my pronunciation as you listen to me more and more. All right, Ambigexens again says, my 18-month-old boy yesterday said quite clearly apple in pure English, adding one more English word to his vocabulary. I have him watch cartoons in English as you once told me to do. Yep. So again, oh no, I got to sneeze. Look at that. You get it live. Amazing. I don't want to sneeze all over the camera. All right. So we've gone through one word in 50 minutes. But I got through all the comments. All right. I'm going to give you some more and hopefully try to make this quick. Again, if you would like more examples of these, click on the links or just click on the description and that will pop out for you and you can see some different examples. Another one we mentioned before is keep. All right. So to keep, when we talk about keep, this is a very simple, very common, very useful word where we're talking about continuing to do something, to talk about continuing. All right. So you can think anytime you want to keep something, like I want to keep this marker, like it will stay with me. Okay. Thank you, Annette. All right. So keep. So you can think of different ways of continuing to do something, and continue is a longer word, but typically kids, when they learn it, they think keep. Okay. So keep going. All right. So we had the example before of get going. So get going, and you notice how we can understand these things better by comparing them. So you get going means to start, but now we're going to keep going. We are going to continue. All right, so basic words that can express more complicated ideas. All right, pretty simple. All right, another one, to keep silent or to keep quiet. All right, remember, I'm in a state, I can continue doing that thing, especially some kind of action, like I can keep going, keep moving, keep playing, keep doing something. So kids will typically want to keep doing something. Okay? So get going, keep quiet, keep silent, same thing. All right? I'll give you one more example for this just so we can move on. To keep an eye on something. All right? So to keep an eye on something, if I'm watching something, this is a very complicated, it's kind of like a more complicated way to like continue watching something, or I can just say to keep an eye on, at least like one eye. So if I'm watching my kids and maybe trying to do something else at the same time, I'm cooking or doing some work, I'm also trying to watch my kids. So we keep an eye on them. That's why we use the expression an eye. So at least one eye where I'm watching something. All right? Now notice how we use this, like I keep going or I will keep going. Like keep, since keep means like continuing, we wouldn't say like I am keeping going. We don't say that because keep, it already means you're kind of doing something already. All right. So I will keep going, or in the past, like I kept, this is an irregular verb, so kept going. Okay. Again, look in the chat or the description, excuse me, below this video for more examples. All right, let's see another one. Let's see. We will do make, another very common word. Ooh, keep out. That was another good example. To make. All right, so make means to create something. So we don't have something, and then we do. All right. So to make, like you could make someone. We talked about this in my last video. I had like a long and detailed video about this. Like to make someone something, like to make someone happy or to make someone cry. So I can talk about how they feel or what they do. All right. If you want to learn more about this, yes. But we don't want to translate. We don't want to turn it into Spanish and then try to remember it that way. The point is to learn it in English, to understand it in English. All right. So as you get more examples. All right, so this is a bit more complicated, but it's still basic vocabulary to make someone do something. So I want to make my mother happy. All right, I don't want to make my mother cry, as an example. Okay, so we could make trouble. All right, so like to cause a problem. That's a bit more complicated way of expressing this, but often parents will talk about children making trouble. All right, so to cause trouble or cause some kind of difficulty, to make trouble. All right, to make trouble. We can also have make time. All right, so maybe you are busy, you have like a full day of work over here, you are working the whole time, but I need to make some time for a meeting or like time with my children. So during, this period right here, I'm making some time. So right here, I will have some time for my kids. Okay, to make time, make money. There you go. I thought someone might bring that one up. To make money, make money. All right. All right. Let me go back through chat and we'll cover a few more words here. Excuse me. Pardon me. All right, let's see. Coach Dan says, loved your video about removing the doubt. It's a solid principle and applies to every level. Yes, when working I use, did you took that? And such sounds natural to me, but it feels wrong afterwards. The doubt, yes. So sometimes the doubt comes after you say something. And especially, now this is a tricky thing for me as a learner of Japanese, being in Japan. So I could say the wrong thing, and people will be very polite and not say anything about it. But maybe I discover later, like, oh no, I said the wrong thing. But I learned, from the lesson there. And so we don't like making mistakes in front of other people, and it's really the doubt that stops people from speaking. And so when you remove the doubt, and that process, it usually takes a few examples. So as you learn something, the first time you hear it, maybe you don't hear it clearly or you don't know exactly what it means, but as you remove the doubt, as you get more examples, you feel more fluent. All right, so it really happens. It's a real thing. You can feel it as it happens because that's the understanding, and that's why people do puzzles or play games or other things like that for fun, because it feels good to get that feeling when you learn something. All right. Let's see. Sijar says, why are you so handsome? Are you single? Well, that's debatable. Maybe some people think I am, some people don't. I don't know. You can ask my parents. They made me. Are you single? No, I am married. Vega says, you keep me watching your videos. Yes, excellent usage of that. Sandra again, thanks for this awesome class. Drew, keep up the good work. Another good usage of keep. Nice work. How to use the participle for get in American English. I have got or I have gotten. All right. I'm not going to go into detail about that. I have a video about get. I think I cover that, but maybe I'll make another video about that in the future. It's a good question, though. All right, Renato says, can you please say more about Fluent for Life, how it works exactly? Am I going to know what to start from, for example, chronological wise? So very quickly about Fluent for Life, for anybody asking about that like Renata, you can learn more about that by clicking on the link for the program below this video. But the basic idea is that, as I mentioned, you have trouble speaking if you have doubt, and that's typically not your fault. It's just most people teach English through their native language, or even if they're teaching it in English, you still, you can watch YouTube videos where people are just explaining things, they're giving you definitions or grammar tables or something. Like today we're going to go through every grammar point in 1 hour or something, and then people at the end of that video don't really know how to use those grammar points more fluently. So there's a difference between knowing the rule and being able to apply the rule. And so what we do is actually remove the doubt that you have by retraining your brain. So we take a series of lessons that basically retrain your brain by removing the doubt you have. So you get a lot more examples like this, like what we're doing, and you see natives actually using these things. So you hear how natives use it, you feel much more confident, and you understand how it works, all right? So the way we get you fluent in Fluent for Life is that process, but you get to choose what you learn with. So you start the program and you've got all these different lesson sets you can choose from. You can learn about different grammar points, or if you want to hear from different speakers, so like an Australian speaker or an American or British or whatever, and then you can go through the lesson set and it will get you fluent in that particular thing. And then you choose another lesson set and it gets you fluent in that particular thing. So whatever your interests are, we can help you get fluent in those things. And so you learn, whatever you want to learn about business or technology or sports or culture or cooking or whatever, family, or, we got lots of different topics there, but it's all organized to help you understand English as a first language. That's the point. So you eliminate the doubt. So most people, again, they think they become fluent by repeating things or finding people to practice with, but speaking practice doesn't help you if it doesn't make you feel more confident. Okay, so if it doesn't help you understand the language better, then you're wasting your time. All right, and that doesn't matter if you're speaking with other people or speaking to yourself. But typically, the fastest way to get fluent is to understand the language well as quickly as possible. So that's what we help you do. All right, Dragon says, hi from Morocco. I can understand you, teacher, but for me, the secret to learn language is the repetition. Good luck for all. Yes, so you can continue to repeat things, but I promise you, you will get fluent faster by understanding the language better. And that's usually not from repetition. It's what I call naturally varied review, where like this, we're not trying to I don't just give you the word make and say, okay, class, everybody repeat the word make after me. What we're going to do is go through lots of different examples that help you understand it more like a native. All right. I am keep going, understand English. So you can say, I will keep going. I will keep going. All All right, keep your hands to yourself. Drew, yes, excellent usage. Keep your hands to yourself. So I'm not going to touch some other people. I have to keep them so where they are. Keep them where they are. All right. Did and at okay. Thank you for correcting me. That's very helpful for me. Glad to hear it. All right. Let's see. Keep off. Keep going in doing something or keep on doing something. Yes, you would keep on doing something to continue doing something. We don't really say. You would say. Here. Let's just look at this. This is another good example where we compare different things to understand them like a native. Now, if we say keep on going, you might hear like keep on going in some direction. All right? So like keep on going in this direction. Or I just say keep on going straight if I'm trying to explain something like that. But you would typically just say like keep on. You could say keep on doing something. DOING. Keep on doing something. You can say that also. Or you can just say keep going or keep doing. All right. So often we'll have a phrasal verb like this where it just sounds a little bit more casual and conversational. Just keep on going, keep on going. It's like to stay on this position, stay on this way that you're moving. Okay. But you don't have to add that. Often natives will add these extra prepositions here just because it sounds more casual. All right. So if I say like he made a story, it's like, okay, like, yeah, he did make a story, but it just sounds more casual, like, oh, he made something up. He just like thought about that. It's still really the same idea. Okay. Yes, another good example, keep left and keep right. Let's see, make a wish. What make is your car? Well, that's a different use of make, but yes, very good. Make a wish. I always try to make the most of this lessons you do, Teacher Drew. Very good. So you would say, make the most of these lessons. So this is another be careful basic mistake. So you've expressed a more complex idea, but there's a basic mistake in there. So watch out for those things. I promise you will feel much more confident and fluent if you solve those basic errors that you make. And it's just a huge problem. It's really, I don't know if it's the number one problem because some people don't have that, but a lot of people do. Coach Dan again, thanks. I work in an English-speaking country. Some colleagues provide instant feedback nicely, but I keep messing tenses. Yeah, so you would say like messing up tenses right there. When speaking, which sometimes is frustrating and just slows communication. Yes. And so again, this is the same thing like my own children have to learn this process too. But as you learn it in English by getting lots of examples, that will make you feel much more confident about it. So like my children, like this common example, like I did played. So sometimes my kids, so these are my own children, as they're learning the language, they will say something like they're talking about the past and I understand what they mean, but they will say this incorrectly. So I have to remind them like, oh, look, like did, that's explaining everything. Like I did it. All right. So I did, and then I just give them a bunch of examples like I did go, I did play, I did eat, I did walk, I did run. Okay. So the did is the only thing that changes. Okay. Yes. Did is the past tense of do. So children will often make this mistake where they're thinking like I played, or they add this, but you only need one thing to make it the past. So you don't need to make it the past twice. So I did play, I did go, I did learn, I did eat, I did watch. Okay. All right. Let's see. Keep on keeping on. Yes, that's true. All right. I understand when I hear, but I don't talk fluent. Yes. So go back and watch this video again. It will explain more about that. These lessons are in the morning. I don't know if I can make it. Is this grammar correct? Yes, that's correct. So you would think like these lessons are, and then they are in the morning. So it doesn't matter if you can make the lesson live or not. You can watch it later. We just save these and make them available. All right, keep right, keep left, keep on, keep on going. Teacher, you're keeping up with the comments well. Yes, I'm trying. Okay. All right, I'm going to do, let's see, maybe one more because we're already at 70 minutes. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's see. I'm just going to read. I'm going to read like a bunch of these to you guys. I should just hold up my computer over here. All right, so next, very quickly, I'm going to put all of these up here at the same time. So we've got, let's see, give, take. Let's see, and I had, what did I have? Did I have live here? Let's see, what do we do? Oh, we had life. So we've covered some, and we won't do any more verbs. You guys got those already. Again, just look in the description below this video to find many more examples. So we can think about words with life, all right? You could have like a lifestyle or a life coach or a life lesson. A life lesson is where you learn something, like a life lesson. Where you learn something, it helps you, oh, like I discovered something that's important for my life or good information for me to know. A life lesson, all right? So you could have a lifestyle as well. And so you could have a life journey. J-O-U-R, excuse me, R-N-E-Y, a life journey. Or you could have a life, and typically like a life goal, like what you want to do with your life. Same idea. Or you could have a way of life. A way of life is a way of behaving. It could be a way of doing something. Like you always, like you live by fishing. That's my way of life. All right. Again, and I have, in the description, I have like what the kind of more complex way of saying these things is also. So it's a pretty simple list of these in the description. All right. Keiko again says, I'm just keep on doing this. Yes. So you will just say, I remember, we don't use am, like I am keep. We just say I keep, because keep means continue already. I keep. You could say like I am keeping on something, but it's like it's too much. Just say I keep doing something, or I keep on doing something. To keep on keeping on. All right, like Nicholas's example over there. All right, Aziz says, what is the English level what's the English level is required? So you would say, what English level is required? What English level is required to make a couple conversations with native English speakers, and how much time will it take me to achieve it with my B1 level? I can't really answer that without actually hearing you speak, but I will say you need a lot less vocabulary than most people think, like fewer words. The point is, do you know the vocabulary well? So it's not how many words you know, it's how well you know the vocabulary. Okay? So rather than trying to learn more words and thinking about how long that will take you, it's just how can I get fluent in one word? And now how can I do that again with more vocabulary? So that's what we try to do in our videos. So we really want to help you understand things really well so you feel confident about using them. And that's what you should be thinking about. But as you do this, the process accelerates. So it gets faster. So I used a more complex word, accelerate. 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 Or I could just say to get faster. To get faster. All right. So as you learn in this way that we're doing here, like we're just covering a few words, but as you do that, as you feel more confident about these, you should feel more like, oh, like I understand, and now I can talk more fluently about that. So that should be the goal. All right, what's the difference between get something over the line and get something out the door? Well, you actually could use those in like the same sentence, but typically to get something out the door means you need to like sell it or ship it or something. So if you have a factory and you make whatever that thing is inside it, to get it out the door, like now we're going to send that to the customer or something. That's typically where you hear that. That's where the expression comes from. So to get something out the door, to get something over the line just means whatever your goal is. All right. So you imagine people playing like rugby or football. Here's the ball over here. We need to get the ball over the line from here to here. Okay, so it's a slightly different example, slightly different origin for what these things are. So getting something over the line, it's like from not doing something to doing it, or from failure to success, or whatever. So maybe like to get something over the line, you could have different lines in a process. Like you have you think about an idea, we draw the idea, we make a model of the idea, we start to sell the idea, something like that. So there could be lines in all of those things. Okay. All right. So if we want to get something out the door, usually we're trying to make something like a product, and then we begin selling it. So lots of people might keep the product inside the factory, or they're just continuing to talk about it. But some people say, hey, we need to get this out the door. We need to start selling this thing. Like, enough. Don't put any more features in the product. Just ship it now and see how it does. Okay, so that's where you're trying to get something out the door. All right. You could also be like physically trying to get out the door yourself. All right. All right, hopefully that makes sense. So why, LF says why, and you would say, why do many Americans always say things like you was and there's a plural, as sometimes it even feels weird to say it different? Yes. Again, just like the example before about get and get, you will have people that pronounce the words differently, or even say them. Like I will use incorrect grammar sometimes as well. So I will say, like there's two people over there. There's two people over there. So that's your example like that. So sometimes people will use incorrect grammar because it's just easier to say, like the word ain't. I had like a lesson about this. Ain't. So ain't is not like a real word, but people use it. All right. So the correct thing would be I am not, but people will use ain't. Like I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. All right. Let's see. Yes, a lifeline. Another good example of lifeline. Guillermo says, hey, I'm Guillermo from Brazil. Just want to say thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. My pleasure. All right. I'm keep on doing. No, you would say I keep on. I keep on doing something. I keep on. All right, keep is an action word, lifeline. Many greetings from Turkey. Thank you very much. Systems and blueprints. Okay, thank you again. Why is it so difficult to understand songs and movies as well? Asked Geronimo. Because the language is very different from the English you learn in school. All right, that's the real reason. All right, so you learn in class, you have a teacher who's probably speaking very clearly, very slowly, using very simple English, and then a movie or especially a song is going to be very difficult because it will have cultural references and slang, and the pronunciation might be different. It's like a different language. All right, so you have to learn to go from, you have to go, or you have to get from where you are to where you want to be in steps. That's what we do in Fluent for Life to help people understand these things. SS says, how to speak like you. I'm still in trouble. Yeah, we have a whole program called Speak Like Me that shows you how to do that. But again, what I'm trying to do is help you remove any doubt that you have about the language, and that's how you speak. So just think about things that you make mistakes with. If you're trying to learn by yourself, that's how you do it. All right, so that's how I do it for Japanese. I don't have any Japanese classes. I just listen to people and learn, oh, okay, you say this in this situation. It's pretty simple. All right, so when you stop trying to learn the traditional way and you start understanding English like a native, that's how you become fluent. Let's see, I often hear the word LOL from many Americans. What does it mean? Well, LOL means laugh out loud, and this is short internet slang because people are too lazy to type laugh out loud, but that's what that means, like LOL. So people might say like LOL, like in person or whatever, usually younger people. But yeah, like older people, like, and I guess I'm like an older person now. So I don't say LOL, but younger people would. All right. Let's see. And Keiko says that makes, so you would say that makes sense. That makes sense. That's the spelling you're looking for. All right, Joseph Alvin here. Oh, I got that already. Was here. That's right. So people will write things, and in general, The language is getting more corrupted over time, so it gets worse over time. There again, to get corrupt or get worse over time. And it just means people don't spell very well, or I mean, even look at my handwriting. I'm like a doctor, basically. But yes, like the language gets worse, especially younger people speaking. Could you tell me the difference between few and a few? Well, if we're talking about like few, like a percentage of people or a percentage of something, versus like kind of being able to count another thing. I don't want to go into like a long explanation of that because it's not really based on the topic here, and you can find more information about that on Google as well. Ain't isn't a word, I ain't gonna use it. There you go. Hello, teacher. My name is Paula from from Colombia. Excuse me. I used to be. What's the difference? I made a video about that as well. Look at that one. Makes and sense as well. All right. Let me see if I had any more that I wanted to go through because we're already at 80 minutes. Oh my goodness. All right. I will encourage you to look through the rest of the examples. So there are 10 different words that you can look for in the description below this video, and there are examples as well. So 50 different examples I have. There are 5 for each of those words, and it will help you understand those a little bit better, all right? But remember, in general, as you're trying to learn the language, you don't need to learn a bunch of advanced vocabulary. You need to become advanced about the vocabulary you already know. Okay, that's how you get fluent. That's the real difference between a native speaker and a non-native speaker. A native speaker has an advanced understanding of simple vocabulary. They also know more difficult words. But in general, like a young child, a 10-year-old child can speak better, like a 10-year-old native child can speak English better than an adult who's 40 years old, even if they've been learning English for 10 years. Like both of them have been learning English for 10 years, but the child has a much stronger command of the language. So they really understand what's happening. They know how to use the vocabulary very fluently. They have an advanced understanding of the language rather than just like an advanced knowledge of lots of different words. Okay? So if you want to speak fluently, spend a bit more time getting to know your vocabulary. And you have to remove the doubt. So if you have any doubts about your vocabulary, that's when you start speaking. All right, I think that should be it. Sim says, I keep on following your lessons as much as I can. I keep on learning new things from your lessons. Thank you so much. Very good, excellent uses of those. And yes, LAMO, laughing my ass off, is another thing you will hear as well. Laugh my ass off. LAMAO. Mr. X says, if people keep on using abbreviations, we have a different language in the future. Yes, that's correct. So if you think about languages in general, they change over time. And so people have to try to preserve the language so it doesn't get worse, because this is, I'll write this word up for you guys here. You probably know what this is. Actually, I'll give you one advanced word. Advanced word for today, since we're covering many simple ones. This is ENTROPY. Wow. Entropy. Entropy is like something gets worse over time, or it gets weaker, or something just in general. Okay. So over time, if you don't maintain your house, it will start to collapse. You will get cracks in your house, or you need to repaint it or something. But this is just entropy. So it's the process of something getting weaker or older or whatever over time. All right. We build something, but there are forces that are attacking that thing, or forces that are trying to make it weaker all the time. Entropy. So even if we do nothing, it will start to break down over time. Entropy. So the language does that too. And you have people like me who are trying to like hold the language up a little bit. All right. Yes, deteriorate is a word, but it's not only for I guess it's a similar thing. But you can think about like a moving object will continue to move, and then there's some friction that stops it from moving. It's the same idea as entropy. All right. So things kind of collapse, or yes, you could say deteriorate over time. Could you please explain about addition, like senseness and senseless? What do you mean? Well, that's a different topic if you're talking about using prefixes or suffixes or changing words like that. But if you get more examples of something, like if you have something less, if you hear this prefix enough, you think, oh, like less, it's reducing something in some way. Okay, so as you get more examples, you don't want to just get a definition. You want to hear, oh, look at that, like it's painless, like something with pain. Oh, but it's painless, so we have no pain in that thing. So if we put less on the end of a word, well, look at that. We reduce something or we remove it in some way. All right. I think we're at the end here. And Vincent says, hi, Drew, is Vincent from South Africa. How to learn phrasal verbs and understand them in context. We actually have a whole program about that in Fluent for Life. It's called the Visual Guide to Phrasal Verbs. It teaches hundreds of phrasal verbs and helps you understand them like a native. But you can find samples of that on our YouTube channel. Just search phrasal verbs and it will show you how to do that. But the basic idea is, like everything else, understanding it like a native rather than trying to get definitions or translations. All right, Olympia, did it my way. I did it my way. That's right, Sinatra's hit. That's right, I did it my way. And F saying leaves a heart. Out is an adjective. You're asking about the word? Well, I don't want to tell you like what something is because a word can change depending on how you use it. So out is a preposition, like I could be like going out in some way, or I could be like doing something in like an out, kind of like an out way. So it could be an adverb. But yeah, I would look for a bunch of different examples of that rather than try to get a definition about what a word means, because the meaning of words change. All right, so it changes depending on the situation. All right, thanks, says Areno. So are you in Brazil? Like are you native Japanese or Japanese? Because you have that's an interesting last name. That's not a Japanese last name. The first name is though. All right, teacher, it's time to drink water. Yes. Do you watch anime? If so, what's your favorite? What's my favorite? I don't really. I mean, I see it sometimes. I don't really watch anything recently. The only anime I see actually is kids shows. So my daughters, they watch a couple different anime, but their favorite is Oshiri Tante. Oshiri Tante is it's like I guess the English is the butt detective. So it's like a detective kind of crime show for kids, and the main character is he's a butt. He has like a butt. I don't even know how to draw him well, but he has like a hat and a coat. That's a very bad picture of him, but he is the butt detective, like butt. So Oshiri Tante. I'll write it in Japanese, Oshiri. So you can look that up, Oshiri Tante. So Tante is detective. All right. So I don't really watch anime, but years ago when I watched it, like the first animes I saw, probably Ninja Scroll. I enjoyed that movie. Ghost in the Shell. I don't think I ever saw Akira. Yeah, I don't really like watch so much anime. I just. Let's see. Eileen says, thank you so much for what you do for us. Love it. I'm from Dominican Republic. Glad to hear it. Welcome to the program. All right, yes, I will drink some water. Let's see. All right, so what am I? What part of the country are you? Oh, you guys are talking to her too. All right, yes, I will have some water. I have look at that. I don't know if I showed you guys. Bam, look at that. I got a 2-liter heavy like steel water container over here. Look at that. Ooh, I got my delicious mint water. Yes. I don't really like to take a break in the middle because if people don't hear anything, they're thinking something's wrong with the video or whatever. All right, but thank you all. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for answering. I was just curious. Looks like an Iran missile. Yes, it's just it's pretty heavy, but I didn't want a plastic bottle. An American using liters. Yes. I've been in Japan long enough because that's all you can't really buy a gallon of something here unless you go to Costco. But yes, so I still talk about my height, like in feet, unless I'm talking with Japanese people. But then I use meters or centimeters or whatever. And it's interesting trying to teach my kids about that too. All right, Nicholas says, thank you for the live. Let's see. Oh, Detreglin, nice to see you again. How teaching us so that we can speak fluently, although I know I will never be fluent like you because we have a different tongue. Well, remember, you don't get fluent in the whole language. There is still lots of the language that I don't know. Again, let me destroy the butt detective very quickly here. If you think about the whole language, imagine this is all of the words in English. You need about 2%, and this is even larger than 2%, but just so you can see it over here. 2% of the language is what you need to understand most TV shows, newspapers, movies, conversations. That's it. It's just this. So there are lots of words I don't know. Many, many, many words I don't know. So I am not fluent in those words. I could probably learn them, but again, it's how I learn the language that gets me fluent. So I'm not just trying to study a bunch of words because I want to actually use them fluently. But if I can understand something well, and I focus on the important words that people use every day. So even the word this is the most common word in English, so you will find this everywhere. I think even the word is like 7% of text. So if you look at a newspaper or something, you will see the word like the all over the place. All right. So you don't need to know a lot of the language to have a conversation. You just need to know that well. All right. So even me having conversations with people in Japan, when I started to get fluent, because I started learning the way Japanese people learn the language, I could have conversations with people even with simple vocabulary. So now I can explain more things, I know more words, but I don't need to know a lot. Okay? So it's not about me, like I look at a Japanese person and think like, wow, like they can speak way better than I can. It's just, yeah, they spent more time and they learned the language better than I learned it. But now I'm learning the same way they are, but I actually know like a few tricks that can get me fluent faster. So as an example, like learning Japanese kanji, like the written characters, there are, I think, 2,136 of them in the for what little kids learn. When I say little kids, like from elementary school up to high school. But I can learn those in a few months. All right. So instead of taking 12 years, I can learn that much faster. Okay. So these are things that adults have that little kids do not. Remember that. Just because we are adults doesn't mean like, oh, like I'm slow or I'm worse at learning languages. There are advantages that we have also. I actually have a whole article about that on our site. But again, the important thing is to focus on the things that you need for your life, not to learn random words, but then to learn them well, to understand them really well. All right. All right. I think that should be it. But nice to see everybody here. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to learn more about how to do this, again, you can apply these ideas on your own and become a fluent speaker that way. It's just much faster and easier if you have someone like me to help you do that. All right. Hello from Slovenia. Slovenia. Okay, pardon me. All right. But you can click on the links in the description below this video if you have questions about that. All right, Geronimo, again, last comment here. Are you speaking in a slow way in order to be understood? Right? Yes, that is correct. I understand everything you say, but what do you suggest for us to understand people who speak at normal pace? You just need to listen to more people speaking at a normal pace. That's the answer. So this is what we do in Fluent for Life. So we have part of the lessons are me explaining things, and other things over here are like things that maybe a native would say, or it would be in a faster way, like actual natives speaking with each other. So they're not trying to be more easy to understand. All right. So you get all of those examples. That's what we do in the program. But if you're trying to do it by yourself, that's how you would do it. All right. Keiko says, thank you very much, Teacher Drew. I was able to attend your lesson for the first time in a while. Again, grammar is correct. Yes. I'm still not confident in my writing. I'm glad you had water. Thank you for your concern. Yes. What words don't you know? That's an interesting question. I guess if I could answer that, I would know those words. Thank you, Drew. May I come speak English, but I can't read. May I come speak English? Thanks for your classes. Thanks for coming. Have a nice day. And thanks. All right. Have a fantastic day. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.